Hello and welcome to Shot Clock, where we introduce controversial topics and our panelists are given 24 seconds to make their point. I'm your host, Nick Atari. On the show today, we will talk about controversial refereeing, both the NCAA and NFL levels. And we will predict the upcoming games for this week, but first, let's start with the FBS playoff ranking. Number 2 fell to 4, 3 stayed the same, and Washington fell out of the top 5. This week, clearing a path for some new blood, the FBS top 4, Alabama remained top spot, Ohio State jumped to number 2, and Michigan stayed at number 3, while Clemson fell to a spot at 4. Nate, what do you think about the new ranking? Your 24 seconds begins now.
Well, I'm kind of iffy on the new rankings. I think Washington should be in the top 5. This is my personal opinion. I mean, they lost to a ranked team. And I also think Western Michigan should be in the playoffs. I meant not the playoffs, in the rankings. Yeah, in FBS rankings. They're undefeated. They played a couple of good teams. I mean, first of all, Ohio State should not be in the top 5.
What? Are you?
They're Ohioans. What do you mean?
That's fine that they're Ohio.
Okay.
You can't be like you're talking about a MAC school, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Good. I'm coming at you guys this week, full on.
Dalton, what do you think about the new ranking?
I think they got them right. I mean, Ohio State did lose to Penn State, but if you look now, Penn State's a top 10 team. Michigan, that loss in Iowa, that's a little rough. But I think, them staying at number 3 is good. And Clemson dropping down to 4, I don't know. I think maybe they should be booted out of the top 5 and Washington should sweep that spot. Because Washington's been killing teams this year.
Yeah.
And, Clemson has not been playing their best football. If you look, they're letting
Thank you,
close
Dalton.
teams.
Thank you. Mr. Woolley, you're a big-time college football fan. What do you think about the new ranking?
Conspiracy. The Big Ten is getting their just desserts from the committee right now. I don't think there's any way right now in the FBS top 4 that the Big Ten isn't poised to have at least 2 teams in there. That's why you see Ohio State jump up to the number 2 ranking. That's why you saw Michigan, who could arguably not be deserving of being in there after losing to Iowa, stay within the top 4 rankings. I do think that sets up Wisconsin to sneak into that top 4. So
Thank
conspiracy,
you.
Big Ten.
Let's switch into our next subject. You know what that means?
Ooh.
Refereeing. Do you think the refs have missed calls that could have changed the outcome of the game? Dalton, your 24 seconds starts now.
I definitely think that referees blow games all the time. I think they try to put themselves too much in the game and how they think it should be played, which can mess teams over and screw up what they're trying to do. And, the referees are just bad, absolutely horrible. They mess everything up. It's just not right. It's garbage.
I agree.
Yeah.
Mr. Woolley, you're a coach. Have you ever seen bad calls on the field?
Yeah.
Question.
Well, first of all, every year that we start out in baseball season, I tell the kids, do not respond to an umpire because they're all terrible. So that's where we go from right there. NCAA, NFL refs, in my opinion, they try to interject themselves into the outcome of every single game, and it's ridiculous. But we have seen, in particular in Detroit, rule changes. Calvin Johnson, the catch, Galarraga with his perfect game. Referees are bad. They're flawed by nature. It's a system that needs to be fixed. I think they're addressing it, but they haven't perfected it yet.
Thank you. Nate, you're a big football guy. How do you think the refs control the game?
Well, obviously the refs are good because they're pros. I mean, you can't have some average Joe go in there and ref a football game or something.
Dalton could do a better job.
I could do a better job. Half of those refs need some magnifying glasses because they miss everything.
Well, I do feel like they favor some players. Like, for example, LeBron, he drives in every time. 9 out of 10 times it's a foul for him.
Oh, for sure.
It's crazy, but no, the refs overall do a pretty good job. I mean, they miss calls here and there, but everyone's going to make a mistake.
Thank you.
NBA refs are terrible.
No,
All right.
God.
Let's switch to the big factor this week. Mr. Woolley, give us your top 3 picks for the Big Ten matchups.
Penn State versus Rutgers. Cue the Nittany Lions. They're going to roll over Rutgers. Rutgers is like playing a middle school football team. Michigan, Indiana. Michigan's going to bounce back. Indiana's been giving people scares. Jim Harbaugh will right that ship, though, and get things back on track. Where's my picture of Jim Harbaugh? There he is. And then Urban Meyer, he's giving the wink. I want State to win this game in the worst way, but Urban's going to take it home. I think Ohio State's going to roll Michigan State.
Thank you. Nate, who do you think is going to win this week?
Well, I have to agree with Mr. Woolley. Penn State's definitely going to beat Rutgers. I mean, Michigan blew them out. Michigan's going to beat Indiana, no doubt. I mean, if we lose to Indiana, we're just terrible. And I have to take Michigan State because Michigan State.
Oh, upset alert.
I mean, I'm never going to root for an Ohioan team. I've always got to go with my state, and I'm going to pick Michigan State.
I will be supporting the green and white as well, Nate. I just don't think they're
Thank
going
you.
to win.
Thank you. Dawn, I see you didn't like Nate's answer. What are your thoughts about this week?
I definitely got Penn State blowing Rutgers out. I mean, like Mr. Willie said, they're a middle school team. There's just no chance for Rutgers.
They would be Western Michigan, though, Nate.
Ooh.
I don't know about that.
And then I got Michigan beating Indiana. I mean, Indiana is definitely a scrappy team. They do give teams lots of fits. But Michigan, I think, coming off this loss, they're just going to be too fired up and to let them blow the game and beat them.
That's all for our show this week. I want to take a moment and thank our panelists for their keen insight. Join us again next week when we discuss more controversial topics in the world of sports. Until then, I'm Nick Atari, and this edition of Shot Clock has expired.